Let's give them something to talk about. I see the energy running out. I got a planet to run around. Okay, okay. You ain't do nothing but run your mouth. No, I don't want to be humble now. You doubted me, nothing to talk
Don't be distraught here. Jamie Lee is not with us today. Your eyes are not fooling you. Jamie Lee didn't shave his head and
get a little suntan.
And get a suntan.
Buy a blazer.
So Jamie Lee is driving down to L.A. He said, because we had dinner with him last night, that he was going to leave at 3 a.m. with Christy Lee and the 2 kids to drive down to Disneyland. Though when we say those things, that we're going to do them at 3 a.m, and then you got to take into consideration he's got Cam at age 6 and he's got Anderson at age 3. Man, that doesn't always go as well.
And he's Jamie Lee.
And he's
so let's just call it.
Jamie Lee's not. I mean, Jamie Lee is a creative guy. His mom's an artist, and I think he's got the artist gene in him. The organized, detailed, structured guy, that is not Jamie Lee. He needs those people around, which is fortunately he's got Christy Lee, which does that for him. The Christy Lee, the project manager. So together they make a great team. But anyway, they're on their way down to LA. They were going to stop at the beach today, and actually just an amazing, a cool story that's related to that. On Tuesday, they're going to Disneyland with the kids, and the kids don't know. Which is
love that.
I know it's gonna be a surprise. So that's pretty cool.
Oh, it says it's muted.
Yeah. No. You leave yours muted.
Oh.
So because your sound is coming through this mixer board, which goes into my computer. So you're fine.
By the way, on the topic, I gotta say this, Craig. This is a production. I'm kind of impressed by what you got going on here.
Hey, Oscar. Oscar's alive. Oscar came in and visited us on Sunday. He goes, "Hey, I'm gonna drop in and do a class with you guys. I want to do that Masters RX Plus class." And I looked at the workout. I thought, yeah, that'd be good. He'll enjoy that. It's a great workout. And when we finally got to the Metcon, which I thought was a 10-minute Metcon, actually turned out to be 2 rounds of that 10-minent Metcon. It was just horrible. So I'm glad to see that Oscar's alive. And he put a smiley face emoji, so he must be alive and feeling okay. He crushed it.
OG right there. Diablo OG, Oscar.
Yeah. But anyway, so Jamie's down there and then he's going to semifinals on Wednesday. I think he's going to pick me up at the airport, and then we've got an Airbnb with the team because Diablo's team, Añejo, has qualified for the North America West Finals.
DCF, baby.
Yeah, and if anybody remembers from the old days, and there's a lot of OGs, the Diablo, every time there was a semifinal regionals, in this case, there was always a Diablo team there, sometimes 2. And one year, I think we even had 3 when it was sectionals maybe, but it was down in San Jose. Same kind of format that is currently in Pasadena right now. And it's always just, we always drew big crowds because most of the times we had big crowds simply because the events were local. And so it was easy to get to. Like, it literally was an hour drive, and we'd all plan. We'd all have the same color shirts. And as I was laughing last night at dinner, by the way, last night we took all the athletes to dinner. Yvonne and I did. It's a tradition before these types of events. We take our team to dinner and with their spouses and partners and just, relax and enjoy each other before the chaos begins. But I mentioned that Diablo has always had a presence at these events, and it's awesome to have it again. And to be part of it again is with a team there, and there's something special about a team. And I said, unfortunately, though, during that period of time, that's when other affiliates in the Bay Area learned to hate us.
Sure.
because of the overwhelming presence of our fans, are just incredibly passionate, excited fans. And anybody knows when they walk in here, everybody's welcome. It doesn't matter where you come from; everybody's welcome when they come in here. Into this gym. But when you go to a competition event and we're just, DC, we're drowning out the other people. We're taking all the seats in the front, all that stuff. It builds a little bit of animosity. The funny part was, though, was Beth Stankovic, who's on our team. She was with CrossFit Davis, which was a perennial participant in the regionals and at the games. And she said, and I said, and affiliates in the area learned to hate us. And Beth just just blurted out, "Oh yeah, we did."
Oh.
And all the team, everybody started laughing. I was like, "Oh man, I didn't need that kind of affirmation."
That's funny.
Yeah, it is. It is. And so it's really awesome to see them going down and competing. I'm excited, and I'm hopeful that we can recruit a lot of our community to watch the events, the production that CrossFit does. We never used to have that level of production, by the way. So everybody gets on, loves to go on the interwebs and hate on CrossFit for not showing the fourth heat. Everybody in the fourth heat, or the first heat. Everybody in the first heat going or skipping an event or two during these semifinals. And let me remind you, this whole thing was built on basically being kind of a fairground style event where we came together and we all came and watched it. And if you wanted to see it, you had to watch it. There just weren't a lot of broadcasts, especially at the regional level or semifinal level. It was not an expense that CrossFit wanted to undertake, nor did they have the capacity to do it. So,
well, Craig, I'll tell you that I have a hotel room booked, but I haven't booked flights for this weekend, and it looks like our plans might be falling apart. So it might be coming down.
Oh, that'd be awesome. By the way, I don't get a ticket because I have a ticket for you if you need.
Okay,
we've got a few extra tickets, which is great. And that's awesome. Did you watch the events? By the way, Dean, this is Dean. I didn't even introduce him. If anybody didn't know, Dean is today's podcast guest, and he is a member of Diablo CrossFit since 2012. Since the end of 2012 is about when he joined. So now 10 plus years as a member.
Well, can I tell you why I joined at the end of 2012?
Yeah,
I don't know if I've ever told you this, Craig,
No.
but I did a little local comp back then. That was a thing, and it was reindeer games. And there was so many Diablo teams there, right, that you're like, who are these people? Why are there so many of them? And, that annoying like DCF, you're like, what is that? And I was like, man, it's really close to my house. And Alessandro Pacelli just did really good at the games. And Craig did good. I was like, I got to go check them out. And then I ended up here a couple weeks later to try it out.
Really?
Yeah, that's how I showed up here.
Did not know that story.
Yeah, totally.
I remember the reindeer games.
Yeah.
I was at the reindeer games.
Yeah. And I'll tell you, walking into this gym was like the scariest thing imaginable. So scary. You're like, oh my gosh, what is this? And I'm a social dude, Craig.
Yeah.
And I don't think I talked to anybody for like a month or
Well,
two.
when you hear the stories, I tell the stories like Kim Hyleen, who's Dean will tell you, anybody will tell you, Kim Hyleen is was one of the fittest females that we have in this gym, and she's now in her she's 50, I think now, or 50. I don't know. She's probably get upset at me that I don't know exactly her name, but she's above 50.
Yeah.
And if you see her in workout clothes, you'd be like, holy crap. Like she's jacked, she's fit, she kicks ass in all the workouts. She refuses to post them on SugarWOD, however, but because she's insecure about her either performance or she just doesn't want to put it out there. But she's same thing. She came here, she came to join. She did the free intro class, and then she went away for a year. She said she was so intimidated. She went and worked out on her own before she could come back. I tell people when they walk, when someone walks through the door to do an intro here at Diablo to check us out for a membership, I tell the front desk people who do the tours, you don't have to sell them. Just walk them around and show them the stuff. Because if they came through those doors, they've already in their minds committed to signing up. It is. It's scary walking into this place. You walk in and you look at this place. Like I walk in some days, I'm like, holy shit.
Yeah.
We just... we have some amazingly fit people that everybody looks like they know what they're doing. They all look like they know each other. So it's kind of like the one big cool kids club of fit people.
Well, and everybody who even thinks that they're not fit, to somebody walking in the doors, is very fit.
Well, right.
So people are like, oh, I don't know. That's why maybe that's one of the reasons that people call me the mayor, is because when I do see new people, I remember what that was like. And I just try to be the first person to greet them in.
And one of the things that I love hearing from people that walk in is they say everybody, when I walked in, everybody was really nice. Everybody smiles because I think everybody here knows that it can be intimidating to walk into this place. But I also tell the people in our front desk folks that when they do the tours to tell people, look, the reason why they're fit is is one, it works. So if you walked into the gym and nobody was fit, wouldn't you have kind of like, ooh, what are they doing wrong?
Yeah.
But you walk in and it's like a really good Chinese restaurant. You want to see it packed.
Yeah, that's right.
You
Yeah. Hey, in every class, like this morning, I was thinking about working out this morning, Craig, and no space.
Yeah. Oh, really?
Every single class booked, which is great. I'll come tonight.
And,
It's all good.
and we haven't set it at 22 per class. Wow.
Anyway, semifinals.
Yeah. So semifinals. So this happens a lot, by the way, in this podcast. We get off on tangents and get discussions. So I'm not worried. So do you have a hard cap on this?
No. I have to get to work, but I worked early this morning,
Right,
so we're good.
It's 10:15. Dean's
right.
trying to keep me on track and on subject here because we were getting way off tangent there. But anyway, so semifinals. So did you watch the semifinals?
Yeah, definitely. Pulled it up on my phone last night and YouTubed some of the, especially the last couple events where the tensions get really high and the stress and the placement and all of that. So definitely saw some of that. I will tell you that, some of those tests are just, CrossFit is amazing, right? You talk about human performance, it's unreal.
It is, and the one that I think a lot of people probably were most impressed by this one was in the middle of their Metcon, they've got to do seated, because we worked on them yesterday in our masterclass, seated legless rope climbs. And you had to start with your feet off the ground and then start climbing and then go up. And the worst part about it wasn't the worst part, like, because as soon as they got up to a certain height, they could straighten out, and you're like, okay, that's cool. These guys are badass. I figured they might be able to do it, but coming back down, they weren't allowed to jump down.
Yeah.
They had to walk all the way down and then keep their feet off the ground until they got to a certain point.
And then land on their butt.
And yeah, unbelievable.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, just testing. I love that they don't even call them events anymore, Craig.
Yeah.
I like that they call it tests.
So do I.
I like that. That's what we're doing here.
Yeah, no, and so do I. It's funny that Rich Froning tweeted about that. He seemed
really?
annoyed. He goes, so I guess we're not calling them events anymore. And which is, I don't see the problem with that. I like the idea of tests too, because that's what these are. We're testing.
Yeah. Well, people train all year long to take a test and then to keep on narrowing down. I'm good with that.
Well said. I'm going to tag you in my tweet to Rich Froning.
Oh, great.
This is what Dean told me.
Hi, Rich.
So, just from a member's point of view, you did the reindeer game. So you had competed right from the beginning. One of the things I commented on my email about this weekend was that I hear from some affiliate owners who are averse to the publicity of the CrossFit games. And these are good reasons. They perceive the CrossFit games as being intimidating to prospective customers.
Sure.
The CrossFit Games athletes, the competition. And I've heard this before. I've heard friends and family say this, and I'm sure you have too. I could never do that. The other ones I hear, and I hear this one more from women, at least initially, is I don't want to look like that.
Right.
That looks dangerous or that looks extreme. Dean, being a 12-year member in our community, but what are I'd be interested in your perspective on the games, the semifinals, and the Open. Do you think they help CrossFit affiliates? Not CrossFit overall, the brand, but do they think they help CrossFit affiliates?
I think it does for a sector or segment of the population, right? You're going to have that type of the population that is seeking the hardest, the toughest, the most extreme things out there. And for them, that's great. And hey, good. I love watching because I love saying, at least at my level of fitness now, I don't really watch the men. I think the men are phenomenal, and I think that's unreal. I really watch the women, and I'll tell you why. Don't let your minds go anywhere. I watch the women because I think, could I try to do that workout? The female workout is closer to a workout possibly do. I tell you all the time here in our gym, we just hosted, the quarterfinals and people trying to move on. And I watched our qualifiers, women. Kendra, Cynthia, shout out to you. I'll never forget you guys battling on those clean and jerks and how hard and heavy they were for you. Well, guess what? And later on that week, we did a WOD that had 185 clean and jerks in there, just like they did.
Right.
And in my head, the whole time, I'm like, Cynthia and Kendra could do this. You have to be able to do this.
Yeah, I like that. That actually is awesome. Well, until you see them at the semifinals, see the women hitting 190-pound snatches.
Yeah.
After an 800-meter
Or
run.
cycling snatches at
God,
135.
135 cycling.
After
Did you see that?
I can't cycle.
I know that's the one thing I thought too. I was like, God.
And I consider myself decently
Damn
fit,
it.
not very fit, but decently fit, and I can't do any
Yeah,
of that. But that's my goal.
No, seriously, for anybody that's into CrossFit or no outside of CrossFit, and you're coming into CrossFit, especially guys, you should know that once you start to get fit, you'll immediately start to compare yourself against the fittest women in the world or the fittest women in your gym. Right, that's where you're going to start.
Good luck, Diablo.
And it's kind of good motivation because it's like constantly fighting to keep your head above water. And the water keeps getting deeper.
Correct. Deeper, faster. The waves are hard. I mean, they're coming. Like they just show up in here, right?
Right.
How many of our what we call she devils have I tried to throw down with and just?
I know. So it's
Crash and
burn. I pick new targets. So like if someone gets out, like Kendra's out of my reach, like Cynthia's out of my reach now. So I just move. I move on. So now I'm and poor Kennedy, right? So she's 16 years old, right? So she's my new target. Like, oh well, she'll hit a lift. I'm like, I think I can get that.
Yeah, totally. Well,
and so now I'm fighting to stay ahead of Kennedy.
Well, you know what it is just you'll do one workout one day, and I'll never forget the day that I was like, well, those days are done, right?
Yes, and that's the other thing. You just give it up, and then those people are dead to me.
Yeah, that's right. So just on the whole Cynthia Kendra thing, like before RX Plus happened here,
right,
and all of us worked out in class together.
Yeah,
and so we were all friends. We worked out in class, and every time that Cynthia was rowing, we'd be eyeing each other's screen, like how close are we to each other?
Yeah.
And, Cynthia's, hey Cynthia, let's be real. You're a lot younger than me. You're a D1 college athlete.
Oh boy.
I'm an accountant. Like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like that's not. And then Kendra, we do a workout and same weight, same box.
Yeah.
And
I know.
We tie. And I was like, well, those days are done. You let that go.
No, by the way, and since we're talking to the Diablo community, you'll notice that Dean and I have not mentioned Alessandra Pacelli, Beth Stankovic, or Emily Scott. We don't. They aren't even in our league. Like they're now considered like elite, and we don't even compare them. We're like, well, they train so much.
Craig, I just want to stretch like how they stretch. If I can mobilize how they mobilize, that would be okay.
Oh yeah.
All right. So anyhow.
Well, but so the point being though that. What I'm taking from your commentary though is you enjoy it, and I loved how you make. We went off a little bit on it, but how you make the comparison that it is one thing that's really cool about the games is that as a member, as someone doing CrossFit, when you watch the games, you can identify with those athletes.
That's right.
Compare yourself to them certainly, but again, the elite of the elite are just they're unbelievable. So then we look at it and go, holy crap, that's what humans are capable of.
Right.
But the other thing is like you see them suffering and you know how they feel.
Right.
Or they miss a rep or get no rep and they're standing there and you're like, oh, I know how that feels.
Or they're having the conversation with themselves.
Yeah,
they're looking at the barbell like we look at the barbell.
Oh, we've done it.
Or they're doing the slow burpees when they could be doing fast burpees.
I think about the games. I think was it last year or no 2 years ago when Annie Thorstadter hit that 200-pound snatch, and in the competition she stood up and her eyes were big and she was shocked and she's looking around. How many times have we hit a lift ourselves when we've hit the lift and just gone, huh?
Yeah, totally.
Is anybody watching? Yeah. Did I just hit this?
Totally.
And so we can relate, and that relatability, I think, is as an affiliate owner, that relatability to the games is another hook. So in other words, if I can, look, people are going to come in here, they're going to get hooked on the friendships, the community, they're going to get hooked on the feeling that they get from the workouts. And then over time, it's going to take a while, the 6 weeks, 8 weeks, 12 weeks, whatever it is, to start to feel progress or see visible progress. Yep. In the meantime, all of those other things are hooks in the members that keep them on board a little bit longer.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And if we could dive in on one piece, and that is What I love about CrossFit is the ability to surprise yourself. I think that's why people talk about CrossFit all the time, right? Because you feel so good about, you got to hear about what I did this morning in class. You would have never thought that I did that. And so many people, my 12-year-old daughter included, who now does Teen Strong here, 12 years old. Guess what, Craig? She talks about CrossFit and we bond about CrossFit, right? Because it's that I didn't think I could do it, but now I can. Like, unreal.
The most talked about, arguably the most talked about thing about this last week in the North America West Finals, the most talked about subject this weekend and today and tomorrow and for the next coming weeks is going to be, we didn't think Sydney Wells could make it to the games.
Unreal.
Right? So Brooke Wells, her sister, perennial games athlete, fifth place last year, didn't have a good performance. And we also can relate to that because there's a myriad of reasons why she didn't have it, whether she wasn't feeling well, whether she was injured, whether she didn't sleep well. Like, all of those things come into play. Like, everybody has a bad weekend. We can relate to that. And it's tragic. But she was there cheering on and celebrating her twin sister's success, Sydney, who's always kind of been an outlier, kind of a, I don't want to insult her, but a second-tier athlete. Not
Anymore.
Yeah, and nobody picked her to go to the games to qualify.
Wow.
Congrats. And she ended up, I think, in 8th place overall in the competition and qualified for the games, which is just amazing.
Well, I love that.
But everybody's that's what everybody's talking about. You're right. It's the unexpected. It's the,
totally. And how good do we feel for, I believe it's Emma Carey?
Yeah.
Right? She won that group. She took last year off. She was the same teen with Mal O'Brien. I think they did an open announcement together.
Yes.
And they were like the two hot guns. And then Mal goes off and does her thing. And everybody knows Mal. And she had to take the year off because she was hurt.
Yeah.
And now she comes back and she wins. Like, how happy. What up, Jamie Lee? Enjoy Malibu, baby. I hope I'm doing you proud right now.
Yeah, Jamie Lee, we expect you to have a coat and a nice coat and shirt like that when you come in next time.
But I mean, that's a story of triumph. I love that.
It is, and that's and again, it's that hook. But the other thing that makes the games and semifinals, and this is the last part of this discussion, but I think mostly for affiliate owners to wrap their head around, and this is something that I tell our community, and I talk to a lot of people about, is the CrossFit is. The games are and I say this a lot, are a unique and distinguishing characteristic of CrossFit, the methodology. No other methodology has this. And the reason why they cannot, or the reason why we do, is because the CrossFit is measurable and repeatable. Every workout we do, you can measure the load, time, distance, weight, or a combination of all of those things. Put down that score. If you beat yourself 6 months from now doing that same workout, only one thing happened. You got fitter.
Love it.
And because it's measurable and repeatable, we can have competitions versus each other in class, which we do. You and I do that. But also we can have competition at the highest level because it's measurable, repeatable. It is, and no other methodology has it. And it's essentially the ultimate manifestation of what we do. And so I would encourage athletes to strongly support it. If the social media part of it bothers you, just don't look at it as much.
Yeah,
but
sure.
But it is absolutely amazing. We need it to survive. We need it to thrive. And I think we all of us will benefit by that.
Well, Craig, I just have one more thing on that.
Oh, good. Go ahead.
It's that, yes, I think that, right, the games, regionals, semifinals, all of that is the tip of the spear.
Yeah.
Right.
That's right.
It's the tip of the spear. And that's all good. I would say this to every CrossFitter, CrossFit affiliate owner out there, is that, we all then have a responsibility, right? We could prove that tip of the spear to be right or wrong. We can show others through what we do, right? Like, hey, that's what they do, but this is how we do it here, right? We can prove others right or wrong, right? When people hear CrossFit and like, hey, everybody at my work knows that I'm a CrossFitter.
Right.
It's just part of my DNA now. It's part of my identity. That's how I identify, like James Clear talks about.
Mm-hmm.
So like I'll walk into meetings and they're like, "Oh, Dean, what did you probably already did 200 burpees this morning." And I'm like, "Well, no, but if we want to, I can." Right? if you need me to do 100 pull-ups, we can. Right? But I didn't yet. But I mean, it's just, and so I always say, "Hey, we can all do this." Like when I travel with my partners, Craig, I have them do CrossFit workouts with me in the hotel gym. Like, "Hey, we're doing it. Whoever wants in. We can scale this to everybody."
Do you think those comments coming back into the corporate world, because I had a little bit of that in my corporate career. Do you think those comments are a trying to poke fun at you, or do you think they're a show of kind of insecurity on themselves, or is it where do you think those comments come from, and do you think those comments are detrimental to you in your career and your position within the firm?
I think those comments all help me personally, because it just shows a level. And I would say this for anyone out there. If you could progress in your career, if you could have a good family, and if you can take care of yourself from a health and fitness level, you're doing all the right things, at least in my life.
Right.
Those are the three things that I care about: my career, my family, and my health. Right. And if I could be clicking in all three cylinders, that just says that, what does that say about you as a person, right? That like, hey, you've got priorities, you have some discipline, and you can be consistent at something.
Yeah. Which of course may create insecurities for the people that aren't doing the same.
That's true.
Yeah.
That is very true.
Right, but that's with anything. I think one of the, I know, and when I went to San Francisco to meet with this company, that CrossFit asked me to come out and be a part of this conversation with this company that was doing remote-based glucose management and nutrition management. So they would give their and I forget the name. I think I want to say Vista, but anyway, they gave all of their participants all of their customers glucose monitors.
Oh, wow.
And then they would monitor them too, so that they have the access to information, link it to their phone, and then that data would be transferred to this company that would essentially help them manage their nutrition coaching. And they had like a 65% success ratio of taking people from pre-diabetic or diabetic type 2 to off of their meds. Like 65% of the participants went off meds.
You have my attention.
Over a 6-week, 8-week period. So someone, which I love this is science. Someone in the room asked, well, what about the 35% that you didn't get? What was the situation? Why didn't it work? And I was like, I didn't even think about that. I was so stuck on that 65% number. I'm like, shit. Oh yeah. What about the 35%? And one of the biggest reasons why and they said, they actually went down to down to the 4th floor. We were on the 5th floor. Went down to the 5th floor. We got to bring up the statistician guy. And they bring up this guy. He's this crusty old guy.
Okay.
And he's their statistician. He goes, yes. He goes, I reached out and we did extensive surveys with these folks to find out what the problem was. He goes, the number one problem was influence from family and friends.
Yeah, totally.
When they changed their diet or started losing weight or started feeling better, the pressure from their family and friends was insurmountable. And in one case, he said, it was great because he had all kinds of quotes from the participants. And one of the quotes was a woman that said, they asked her, why'd you stop? She goes, well, my husband was very uncomfortable with the looks I was getting from other men after I lost weight. Oh. And so she withdrew from the program.
Oh, that's terrible.
Right? You think about that.
Yeah.
And so coming all the way back to the projecting insecurities.
Yes, that's what I feel like when other people make comments. It's their insecurity,
and I think they are, and it's a natural human instinct. It doesn't make those people bad people that are projecting their insecurities. But when you understand that when you realize, they're projecting their insecurities, you have to understand, I think, and this is something that I have kind of gotten comfortable with, is that you're influencing them. That's the process of influence. You're influencing them.
That's right.
And when you're influencing them, there's going to be a little bit of pushback. When you try to get me to do something, I'm going to give you a little bit of pushback, especially if it's something I don't want to do. I'm going to get, it's going to be verbal or, like, oh, fuck. Okay, fuck.
Yeah.
Yvonne, I'll make the bed.
Too funny.
All right, I will take the dogs for the walk.
Right. Well, Craig, I think that's why we have so many families at Diablo.
Yes.
Right. We have I could name 10 families of right now, right? That there's so many, and like even someone like, let's just easy level, like the Parks family, right?
Yes.
Now I see their son in here. He's 14. He's doing 6 a.m.
Yeah. Oh yeah. You
What?
believe that? I know, isn't that crazy?
Right. So like you see just the Michelsons who are new,
Yes.
right? And they're here. Their whole family's here,
Whole
right?
family's here.
And like we're not talking about games level athletes. We're just talking about people who just like to work hard and be part of a community
Right.
that supports each other. And I think that's at the end of the day.
I tell that there's parents who are concerned about their kids and the weight that, you know, if their kids are carrying too much weight or their kids are out of shape, and don't fret. That's unfortunately in today's world with the amount of calorie dense foods that are readily available, especially at kid height, these things are bound to happen. I think there's that other influences with that as well. But be that as it may, it's an issue. The question is not what your kids are doing to offset that, because that's going to be painful. It's what are you doing for yourself that's setting the example for those kids.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
That's where it starts, because they're looking at you.
Mm-hmm. Amen. It's not what you do.
Yeah, they're seeing.
I mean, not what you say, it's what you do.
It's what they're seeing what you do in terms of activity. They're seeing how focused you are on it. They're seeing what you eat. They're watching how you behave. They're seeing what you drink.
Totally.
And they make their decisions. You know, that's their. You know, they either rationalize it or they try to fight it based upon what you do. And if you can make it easier for them with your own behaviors, that's the first step, I think.
Craig, this just came to mind. I got to say it. When I first started CrossFit, not here, but at the small gym that I started at, my very first month doing CrossFit, you should actually pull up that picture. Do you have that picture I sent you real quick?
I do.
I'll tell everybody why. It'll be funny.
Yeah.
The only person who knew I was doing CrossFit was my wife. I didn't tell anybody. I didn't tell anybody at work. I didn't tell any of my friends. I didn't tell anyone that I was doing CrossFit because I just wanted to try something. And I'll tell you, I'm an accountant by trade. You guys see Dean CPA.
21 years at the same firm, by the way. I want to 21 plus years at the same firm, which is unusual.
Yeah, thank you, Craig. I'm very lucky to be part of that community. Just like I love and treasure Diablo. I love and treasure Armanino. If any of those folks are on right now, that's also part of my identity and my fabric of who I am. So when I started CrossFit, I was very overweight. I was unhealthy. I saw a picture of me and my family that got used on a website. There you go. That's me. Our friend, shout out Greg, was a professional photographer, and she would take pictures of our families, and then she would make it stock photos. So Yahoo pulled this stock photo, and all of a sudden one day, Craig, I'm traveling, and our phones are blowing up. They're like, Dean, you are on the cover of Yahoo. And I'm like, what? What are you guys talking about? And sure enough, that's me, my daughter Presley, my wife Michelle, and I can't believe that just shows you how much my wife loves me.
How much do you weigh there?
233 pounds.
Oh my gosh, what do you weigh today?
185, 190.
Wow.
Yeah.
I did not know that about you.
And I had to make a change, right? Like, look at me. I'm not going to be there for my beautiful wife and my daughter.
Right.
And I said, I got to go do this for me. And I kind of made it my journey. And so all you affiliate owners out there, I had a friend, and he bugged me every day to come to CrossFit. He stood at my door, and I was like, dude, I'm not going. Finally, one day I said, fine, I quit. I met the owner, and I go, hey, I'll try this for a month. And he asked me for so much money, Craig.
Oh.
I was like, how much is 1 month at the gym?
Yeah.
How much is what? And I go, ugh. So fine. I take out my wallet. I give it to him in cash. And I go, dude, this is the most I've ever paid to work out. But here, I'll give it to you. And then the accountant in me goes, well, hey, you just gave him that amount of money. You better show up. So my first workout, and I tell everybody this. I go, dude, my first workout that day, that on-ramp was 8 minutes of Cindy. And I'm 233 pounds, and I'm like, you're going to make me do pull-ups? So he takes the two biggest bands.
Oh, he did?
The black band and the green band. Yeah. And I die to do 3 rounds of Cindy. And from then, everything was hooked, and I've been hooked ever since.
That's awesome. The and Dean, well, I want to get a little bit more into your story. I'll tease people into staying on board with a little bit more information. But the one thing that I wanted to interject in this is Dean talked about the importance of family and how many families we have here. That's not a coincidence. something that my former partner Jeremy Jones and I decided to do early on was make family memberships or if you have a spouse or a partner, to offer that membership to them for half off. Now, Chris Cooper, Two Brain Business, and Fit Affiliate, and maybe PRsAllDay podcast, they don't advocate that. They think, well, they're getting the partner or their spouse is getting the same amount of value that the spouse is getting. They should pay the same price. You're devaluing your services, and it does bring down, as an affiliate owner, it does bring down your average revenue per member. We felt it was important, and we thought a little bit about that, but we felt it was more important to create that family environment, and that a spouse is more likely to come and stay if their spouse is supporting and coming as well. The other thing that we knew and understood is that, and you and your spouse are the same thing, but you're different than each other. Yvonne and I are different than each other. She started later than I did. It took her a while to be convinced that this was legitimate, as with anything new that I do. We'll see how long Craig sticks with it before I decide if it's going to be any good. But we knew that the way to get the spouse in was to make it not so overwhelming economically for the family. And that has paid huge dividends. And then whenever I talk to a new affiliate owner, I'll tell them, look, think about offering the spouse or the partner. And we said married, living together, because then you do get people that kind of wham a jam and, oh yeah, my buddy and I, we're married.
Hold hands. Go ahead.
We have that, but that's very, very rare. In 9 times out of 10, any new family member comes in that's part of the family. If it's a kid or someone else, we give it to them at half off. And that has created a family environment here, which is more endearing. And then new people that come into the gym, especially women, I don't want to be biased here, but when women come into this gym, they don't get overwhelmed with single bros, trying to figure out who the new girl in the gym is. It just doesn't. It just
they
doesn't.
already know that her husband's walking around here somewhere.
That's right. Yeah, husband or wife's walking in, right? It's just like, their husband's walking around, or or the guy's wife might be walking around. So it's created a better, I think, a more welcoming environment, and created more family values, and then has made people stay longer and created a really fun place.
Craig, think about it. We got semifinals this weekend. I'm not going by myself. I'm going to bring my 12-year-old daughter. Come on.
Oh my God! If you do that, that's awesome.
We gotta get geared up and go.
Yeah. I'm excited. If she's coming, let me know if she's coming down to that. That would be awesome.
Yeah.
She would be just eyes wide open. I would love for our teen athletes to go down there and see that competition.
It's unreal, right? It's unreal. So. Anyway,
so back to you and your corporate world. You've been 21. I spent 30 years in the investment industry, and I had probably, I want to say, 5-6 different jobs, 5 or 6 different companies. I want to say probably 5 or 6, somewhere in that neighborhood. I'd have to count them. Pretty long tenure at each one. When I started in the industry, in the investment industry, it was common knowledge. Like, you got to stay at least 5 years, because if you try to move to another company and you haven't done more than 5 years, people are gonna look like, what's wrong with this guy?
Yeah.
Why didn't that company want to keep him? Why didn't he or she stay? Today's world of the gig environment is different. People will work, 12 months, 18 months at one job and then go to the next. People go, oh, this guy must be in demand because he keeps getting hired away.
Yeah.
And when I saw your background, I thought, man, that's amazing in this day and age. 21 plus years with the same company, a top 25 accounting firm, nationwide accounting firm. So this is a big company, and you worked your way up, and you're now a partner in that firm, right?
Yeah.
An accounting firm. And Dean CPA, because he is a CPA.
I am a CPA, but I tell everybody, Craig, I'm the CPA you want to date. I'm not the CPA you want to marry. I have 3,000 CPAs I could hook you up with at Armanino, and so that's my job. I'm our chief relationship partner. I run our accounting sales team. What up, Bruce Wayne? But I would also tell you that I also run our Northern California marketplace. So that's 550 people, 3 offices.
Right. So if you want to know so your role is relationship manager?
Yeah, relationship manager. I run like I said, across the country, help, the biggest deals get close with our clients, and then also just engage our people and to make sure we grow in the Bay.
We used to, because I was essentially in sales and client facing for all of my career in the investment services, and we used to joke that when you could always tell the guys that were in accounting when you got on the elevator, because they were the only ones staring at their shoes in the elevator.
That's how I have my job, right? So I'm lucky.
He's got his head up. He's the guy in the elevator. It's like got the big smile and saying, "Hey, how are you doing today?
I turn around, Craig. I ride the elevator like this,
backwards.
I look at everybody else like, "What's up, everybody? How we doing today?" Come on. I'm just trying to do that, right? Like,
which fits in great in the CrossFit world.
Yeah.
So you and half of that time now, you've been CrossFitting.
Yes.
And it has helped your career.
Phenomenally. I meet strangers for a living, Craig.
Right.
They're sizing me up.
Yeah.
If I was 233 pounds and overweight, they're like, how are you going to tell me how to run my business?
Yeah.
You can't even manage your own stuff. Right. So number one. But number two, I have gone out and CFOs of publicly traded companies. I love telling this story. One day, my team, this is a big account for my firm, and I happened to sit next to the CFO, and we're kind of, sitting next to each other. I could tell he's kind of stocky, thick dude. And so we do the whole pitch. We talk and we get up and we shake hands. And I go, hey, I notice you have calluses on your hands and, you're kind of thick.
Yeah.
And he goes, well, I notice you wear a rubber ring.
Yeah.
And we look at each other and we're like, where do you CrossFit?
Yeah. Isn't that wild?
Done deal. We won that account.
Oh, yeah. You could yeah, right.
Yeah. And we have I will say we have some big accounts in the CrossFit world. It's all good. I love it when stuff gets to
Armanito has CrossFit as their client. So when he says they have big accounts in the CrossFit world, there's only one account. That's the big one. So they've got that account, which is cool. And that was vicarious. You guys they didn't contact you, or you meaning Dean. They contacted Armanino.
Yeah, one of my partners, and we helped their company in the past, and really it was more about where they wanted to go in the future, and we had experience there.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah,
which was a kind of a fun coincidence that we enjoyed.
That's why when all the management come through Diablo, which is great, it's great when you get to host management. It's like, hey, dude, we get to throw down on various levels and talk about things on different levels. It's great, not just working out, but also
one of the things that I found when I was in the corporate world, is that being fit gave me a tremendous amount of confidence. It's one of and this is gonna, I don't know, it's gonna sound, conceited or whatever. I would walk into a room, like if I had a big presentation where I'm talking to, and one of the things I talked to a lot was investment analysts. And investment analysts, especially in hedge funds, in the hedge fund world, are some of the smartest people in the world. These folks usually have doctorates, master's degrees, definitely in business, and then they also have their CFAs, which is a very, very difficult exam. A lot of them, there's in the biotech sector, a lot of them have MDs. Yeah. And they, instead of going to become doctors, they became investment people. So I'd walk into these rooms to talk to these folks, and I'm about subjects that I'm not deeply immersed in. I'm like the Florida Everglades. I'm 7 miles wide, but I'm only a foot deep. So like if you get deep into the subject, like, I'm going to, okay, let me introduce you to Dean. He's the engineer on this project. But I had to have confidence. One of the things that in my head, I'd walk into the room and I'd think, if this was Fran, I'd kick everybody's ass in this room. And it was like a confidence builder, like having a little bit of an advantage, either intellectually,
yes,
right, or if I had a Nobel Prize in biomedical engineering or whatever it is, any Nobel Prize, I'd walk in that room with supreme confidence because I could say anything. Everything. Well, if I can't beat this guy. He's got a freaking Nobel Prize. And CrossFit was essentially my Nobel Prize.
Amen. That happens to me all the time. My reputation, like I said, precedes me.
Yeah.
Right. And you'll want to connect. The other thing is that when you're in those boardrooms or whoever you're talking to, you are also talking to tip of the spear type people. Maybe
Right.
they're not tip of the spear fit, but they are tip of the spear of what they do. And so you do have a commonality there in terms of
Yes.
like, we can say, hey, we all like to do hard things in this room, right? Like Cole, one of our
Yes.
trainers here, we always text to each other all the time. And it's, hey man, we just do hard things. That mentality of being able to go into the office and say, that's just what we do. We do hard things. That's okay. Right?
Yeah.
That carries a long way. The other thing I would say is right now you are seeing a trend of CEOs, Craig,
Yes.
that want to be fit.
Yes.
Have you seen Jeff Bezos lately?
Yes, I know.
Dude's jacked.
I love that because that's going to be, look, if that becomes a trend, people are going to want to do more. That's one of the things I enjoy, to be honest with you, it's one of the things I enjoy about the Marvel series.
I think that
The movies. Like it's all it's doing is projecting these positive images about being healthy and fit.
if I was an affiliate owner today, my boy right here,
Yeah.
I would be talking to some of your tip of the spear members about what it does for them, because who are their peers and how's that going to help you grow, and put them on a stage, let
Yeah.
them be seen and heard, right? Like
Yeah.
that's going to go for you.
And like anybody that has achieved, very good levels of fitness, where you're consistently finishing workouts RX and you're doing those things. The people that you look up to are the CrossFit Games athletes, the epitome of the sport. The people that you admire the most, and this is something that for me is personal. The people that I admire the most are the people that made the biggest changes coming from where they were. The person that lost 100 pounds, 200 pounds, the person that overcame a disability. Because for the most part, for me, I grew up in a family of, I had 3 brothers, and we were all active in sports. Like this was, part of who we were, right? So I will admit it was easier for me to get into CrossFit because I've always been working out, and to participate in CrossFit and to change. And I became way more fit than I was. But that's, but that's who I was.
Yeah, Craig, I got to tell you a story on that.
Yeah, please.
So you guys know I've battled weight my whole life. I come from an immigrant family. Like, we were just trying to make it, let alone like play sports. Lucky enough, I went to De La Salle High School, right? De La Salle's known for their sports, the
Oh, yeah.
football team that hasn't lost and all of that. So what I always get, now today is when I speak and, do introductions or whatever. Well, Dean, you went to De La Salle. What sport did you play? I get that all the time. And my answer is, yeah, I actually did play sports. Have you heard of this one? Classroom.
Oh,
I got good grades.
yeah.
Craig, I was overweight and a top 30 student. That's who Dean was in high school. No dates. Like I tell my daughter that all the time. Like, your mommy, she's beautiful. She went on a lot of dates. Me, your daddy, I didn't get on no dates. No dates over here, right? But because of that, people always ask me, like, Dean, are you an athlete? Like, you're a CrossFitter. You look like you work out. Like, no.
You did this. You must have done this your whole life.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah, no,
Yeah,
dude.
yeah.
I started this at 33, and it was because I wanted to make a change in my life for my family. I also have short genes, Craig. My dad died at 53.
Yeah.
My grandfather died at 57. I'm turning 45 in 2 weeks. What if I only have 8 years left?
Yeah.
I'm going all out. I'm living my life to the fullest, right? And so I just tell everybody, like, if I was an affiliate person as well, I'd be like, yeah, not everybody's going to be an athlete. I'm a grinder. I just like to work hard.
I will tell you that Dean is, they call him the mayor because he's extremely outgoing, says hello to everybody, extremely welcoming, encourages everybody at every level. But I'm going to tell you this, you are an extreme outlier. And from just here listening to your story right now, because the hardest people to get into CrossFit and get working out are people that have really no solid background and experience in sport or in exercise.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, that's the most difficult to get to stay.
Oh, wow.
Is to bring them in, get them working out, teaching them the movements. And you'll ask my coaches that do the startups. All the coaches that do startups with the new folks, they're like, ooh, this person has never moved before, like never done a clean. And you would, and interestingly, with every CrossFit coach has had this, is a lot of times what we'll do is we'll demo the movement, so if we're demoing like a hang clean, a hang clean kind of with an empty barbell or PVC pipe, it's really kind of it's not a hard movement to learn, right? You jump and you catch. And to watch someone that's never had any experience moving a lay weight or moving a load properly and never had any sport experience to do it, and it's completely different than what you just showed them, demonstrating that they have no neural connections, like they have no proprioceptive awareness, it's really, really difficult for the coach. Like you have to stop and you have to start to break things down. Okay, let me just have you stand there with nothing in your hand. So, okay, now jump. All right, now you feel that power. But all that, and that makes them, as a result, they get discouraged quicker, right? Because then they go into class and they look around like, oh, shit. I still have an empty barbell. Everybody else got weights on their barbell, right? So there has to be constant encouragement along the way with our members in those cases. So you are an outlier. I mean, I did not know that about you, that you didn't have any real high school experience.
Yeah, well, that's kind of why maybe that I appreciate like all of the mottos that we have in our gym. What does the door say? No egos at the door.
Yeah.
What does the wall say? Right? We don't value how much weight we do. We value your effort.
Yep.
Right. And that's why I tell everybody all the time, like, they want to say, oh, Dean, I beat you in that workout, but I scaled. I'm like, but that was the workout for you.
Yeah.
Like you did your workout. And believe me, I'm watching the scaled athletes too, because I'm trying to keep up with them.
I also love,
dude.
Those folks too are very reluctant to share their progress. Those folks meaning those folks that don't have that experience, they're quiet about their performance gains. So I'm just thinking Anya Parker. Right?
Yes,
so,
I just saw her post yesterday.
So the other day, so about 3 or 4 days. So I see members because I come at different times of the day, and I don't see the morning members or evening members sometimes. I haven't seen her in a couple weeks, right? So she comes in, she's walking across the room. Well, I haven't seen her in few clothes because it's been freaking cold, and it finally warmed up. So now we're seeing people in shorts or tights and t-shirts. And so Anya she was putting away her TheraBand, and she's walking across the room, and I glanced. And I walked in, and first I noticed, like, by her pace was quicker and just kind of more springier. And then she walked back, and I'm like, oh, Anya's lost weight. And I asked her, I confronted her directly, and she got big eyes. She goes, yes, I have. And I haven't said anything about it. She goes, I'm doing it very gradually. I'm taking all the proper steps. And she's lost like 50 pounds.
Yeah.
In about 6 months, which is perfect. Like
that's sustainable.
That's sustainable. For a long term. And she's like, I'm enjoying it more. I adjusted my work schedule so I could be at Diablo more. And she doesn't want to get too excited about it because, again, it's a fear of failure, right? Mm-hmm. And it is. It's not linear, by the way. Anya's going to have setbacks, and as we all do. Mm-hmm. But that made me feel so good. Like I was like, if the team qualified for the games, that's exciting. But Anya losing 50 pounds to me is just like she's doing it. Like, and Anya, same thing, comes from a background where fitness wasn't her thing.
Yeah, and I think that's the beauty of CrossFit. I love our RX Plus athletes. They are tip of the spear. I'm not even gonna lie. Like,
right.
I was making fun of Sean the other day. I was like, Sean, I don't get it, dude. When it's winter, you got no clothes on and you're working out in here. But now it's getting hot and you got a long sleeve shirt on. I'm like, I don't understand. Like, are you tired of showing everybody your abs? I don't get it. Right.
Yeah, by the way, Sean Raphael is he's an RX Plus athlete. He comes in here. He's also a policeman. But he is the most beautiful man in Diablo. He's
easy to look at. I'll tell you. He's easy on the eyes, and I love talking to them.
Yeah.
But to me, and those they work. I think I wanted to say that too. Craig is like people they like to say this about CrossFit. Like, oh yeah, well, if I had all the time that they do, I would be fit or jacked or all of that too. Yeah, right. You know what I mean? Like, no, they do that because they put in the work. And I think that's what I love about CrossFit. And I wish that actually is, I wish that would be the number one thing about CrossFit that was actually most recognized, is that this is the ultimate of, if you put in the work, it will come out.
Yeah.
In my opinion. I mean, I lived it. That's my path. That's what I've done.
It will. You stay the course. So we want to make, and that's why with our affiliate and affiliate owners, you want to make this as welcoming and inviting an environment as possible. Require the work, but make it, do your best. And you have to manage the community. Like you can't let the community manage you. By the way, that's Andrew Lloyd that made that comment.
What'd he say?
That's showing right there. early on more than once. Dean was the guy who made me want to show up the next day when I was discouraged.
Oh my gosh. I love Andrew. Like, I don't know if I wish I could deadlift like him. I wish like I could squat like him. He's so strong. He's an attorney by trade. We've talked about losing all this weight. And, you know, really it's like humans helping humans.
And this is Chris Graham. Everybody loves you.
I just saw Chris at a swim meet the other day, and we said we were going to talk all about this. You know, Chris is another business owner here in the Bay Area, and, you know, we get to talk about business. We get to talk about what it's like to go into the marketplace. And, dude, you see how much weight he's dropped? Chris?
I know.
Damn.
There's a bunch of guys at the AM class. So there's did you drop?
I don't know how to do that. What'd I do? Your browser has lost connection.
Hold on. What's your browser's lost connection?
That's what this thing says.
All right, hang on 1 second. Let me
To
hang
your
on,
camera.
people.
Did I step on something? Okay. Look at Craig, everyone, working hard.
I think you're in the show. There you go.
Okay. I think I just wanted to say one thing. We said about all the people lifting
Hang on
weight.
1 second.
Okay.
It says you're still. Let me see if I can hear you.
Okay.
Check that internet connection again up on top.
Okay. Yeah, it says we're on.
The only thing is that your picture showing. If you talk and go ahead and talk.
Yeah. Okay, here.
All right. So he's talking, but he's on. I swear.
Okay, well, here, I'll just say one thing.
No,
real quick.
they can hear you, but they just can't see you.
Got it.
All right.
The value of coaching, Craig. So number one, you said like I don't move well or whatever. I would just tell you that get the coach. I hired a nutrition coach, changed my life. Now I have, coaches in here that I get special time with. In whatever you're doing, make that investment in yourself. It doesn't matter. Career, right? Fitness, nutrition. Get that coach. They help.
Yeah.
You pay for it. I don't know what to do about that.
It's if you're reaching a plateau or you're going backwards, I would say the same thing. Like that's where you get opportunity. People will pay for a membership now, but what they won't, people are reluctant to get a personal training coach, even for just one session. I would encourage you to do that. That coach will help you break that plateau, whether it's nutrition, whether it's a skill set, whether it's a lift. It's going to happen. I've seen it every single time. I've never had anybody come up to me and say, "Man, I wish I didn't pay for that PT." Yeah. I've never had anybody say that.
Thoughts on coaching, okay? Because this happens to me at work, Craig, where people come up to me and they're like, "Hey, I need advice," and you know what it is? We focus on. I go, "Okay, let's go back to the basics and let's do the basics really well." And people are like, "No, Dean, I want you to bring out the golden gun." Like, I'm already better than basic. Bring out the golden gun and show me like how we're going to do something different. And it's not true. You're going to have to do the basics really well, Craig. The funny thing is here, I've been working with some coaches here and they're like, "Yeah, Dean, so, the very first thing we'd like to work on," I'm like, "Yeah, come on, give it to me, is your mobility. We'd like you to start stretching every night for 20 minutes. I'm like, "Come on, dude, that's so boring." But it's the same thing over and over again.
Yeah, it's funny because that's one of the things that we think we know what the answer is, and a coach is watching you from the side going, "Oh, I know what the answer is," and it's different than what you have in your head. I can tell you that right now.
Every time.
Yeah, you're not moving as good as you think you are,
or what you could be, right? Like,
what you could be.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Let me see. I was looking at the notes that you sent me and see if there's anything else that we missed that I wanted to talk about. Well, we talked about the fundamentals.
Yeah.
How to get better. Look at you got mobility. You literally have. So Dean is brilliant because he kind of guided me along this. He sent me this. He sent me his list of notes. I was like, "Whew, there's a lot of notes to cover." And then I went off on tangents here on this podcast, and Dean managed to reel us back in and cover most of your points.
That's funny. I will say, you guys have talked about the intramural open a lot on this. As a former 2-time champ, Purple Rain and Masters versus Millennials, I say that is fun. Should have been a 3-time champ. Everybody sees that sign behind you. Nobody cares. Work harder. A Harold H. Baby got black.
Yeah.
No, Craig, I will say that there is something that you say often when it comes to intramural open, games, competition. You say it all the time to us when you are watching us working out. And I just have to say it here again. You always say you're going to have to suffer.
Yeah.
It's just true.
Yeah.
Whatever we do in life, there's going to be some hard points.
Yeah.
You're going to have to grind a little bit.
One of the reasons why I do cold plunge, I know it's a fad and everybody's doing it. There is, in my email I sent out this week, Huberman did a cool podcast, kind of the definitive podcast with an expert on heat and cold and the dopamine response, norepinephrine, and all of that. But part of the reason, one of the biggest reasons why I do it is it's hard. Yeah. And it's like it's just 5 minutes of hard in the morning.
I'm trying to get there, Craig. I'm going to get there one day.
Yeah. And it does make me feel good when I come out of it, but part of it is also just kind of confidence. I did that, and it's getting easier and easier and easier. And when I start the day with something hard, and like a shout out to our 5 a.m.ers who come in at 5 a.m. and work out. When you start your day with hard, the rest of the day is easier.
Yeah,
it just is.
I did a 5 a.m. class last week. Shout out to them. They have a great community. I don't know how they do it. And I also did last week. I did a 7:30 p.m. class. I never work out that late. Yeah. And shout out to them too. I don't know how they do it, but just all the different groups of folks in the gym, right? There's a lot of them. I thought that was great.
We've gone a little bit over an hour, and we usually it's all right. We target somewhere around an hour or so. Dean is the hot CPA according to Rodale, and let me just give that's true, and let me give a shout out to Rodale. By the way, he is one of our perennial sponsors for our competition team. So Diablo has sponsors, and we have about 5 or 6 sponsors this year that contribute to help send our athletes down to the semifinals and then even on to the games. And Rodale is always the first one to step up every year. He actually kind of starts the whole conversation. Hey, Craig, can I pay for my sponsorship? And Rodale is a loan agent, does home financing. So if you want to refinance, you want to buy a house, talk to Rodale. He's around here. You'll see him around here in the middle of the day especially. But if you don't, just DM me. But this guy's always stepping up, so appreciate you, Rodale. And I would say lastly, if you look up behind me, over my shoulder, there's a jersey of Whitney Huser, one of our perennial team athletes that helped carry our teams to the games, to the regionals, and to the games many, many years. Just an outstanding athlete. I put that up on purpose because our team, our Diablo Añejo team, a team that she represented so well for so many years, is headed to the semifinals this week, and so we're excited to see them go. So good luck, guys. Put your head down, just do the work, and you're going to have to suffer.
The hay is in the barn.
The hay is in the barn. They have done the work. I am so proud of Emily and Christian and Jackson and Beth, and I think that's all of them.
Yeah. And Jamie Lee for coaching them all the time.
Jamie Lee and Alessandra for coaching.
Yeah.
It's an amazing crew. There's no drama. They're excited to work with each other. They don't have any expectations that they're going to go down there and just kill it.
Yeah.
And if you guys make the games, it will be as a result of your camaraderie, your companionship that you have, your trust in each other, and your ability to suffer.
All right, Craig, one more thing, though, on that same thing of camaraderie and love and all that. I just want to say to the Diablo community, we say this all the time, right? Diablo love. I feel so thankful to Diablo CrossFit, to CrossFit in general. This is just a huge part of who I am, and anything I'll ever be is because of my faith, my family, and CrossFit.
Right on. We'll end on that. Thanks, Dean. Appreciate it. See you guys.